During the Disaster Risk Reduction Mainstreaming Day today, we discussed risk communication, the economic impact of disasters, and safeguarding cultural heritage. What we found is that the three topics are very much interconnected. So during the day, we discussed the value, the importance of attributing value to property, but also to socio-economic aspects, to social-cultural aspects, and also to the environment. And that is important then for knowing what to communicate on, who to communicate with, and also what to safeguard later in the response and what's important to people. We also need to engage the whole community. So again, across the topics, community engagement is key for risk communication because it needs to be a two-way process. So input is also required, and disaster risk management planners need to get input, for instance, from young people or from old people that might be predominantly living in rural areas, might be particularly vulnerable to certain risks. But they also need to use that input in their plans. And the disaster risk management planners also need that input for their planning, for instance, on how to safeguard cultural heritage and what to do in the community in case of disasters and what is important to the local people. In terms of the science and the communication of science, it is also important not to underestimate the local stakeholders. So, for instance, young people and children are very often much more receptive to being taught about risk and learning about risks than we might think. And that means that they can be much more engaged. And similarly for cultural heritage, the local communities in areas that are affected by disasters usually want to be engaged and want to become part of the process and not be told top-down what will happen to their environment, their cultural heritage and their future. And that's also important during the rebuilding process, during the recovery process. And this is again something we discussed in several of the sessions. So for instance, for the financing, it's important to really make a tailor-made local project, to take into account local specificities, make sure Build Back Better is part of the whole recovery process, already integrating prevention. And that also makes it a lot easier for financing institutions such as the European Investment Bank to come in and work with the local authorities, regional authorities, on really building a project bottom-up that fits the local requirements, that involves everybody and that also looks to the future. And should a disaster strike again, ideally the community should be much more resilient. All in all, our takeaway from today was that disaster risk reduction is being mainstreamed across a lot of areas, but maybe sometimes between the different sectors and areas we can still work together a lot more, because for instance on the communication that can help to inform the financing to see what's important. Cultural heritage can be part also of the communication process so that people learn about what to do in case of disasters and so on. And we hope that the findings from today can be used further by the projects, by the project partners. A lot of interesting projects participated either in the sessions or in the poster sessions, and they have made contact with each other, with the policy makers, and those contacts will help make the projects better in future. Thank you.